on this computer. All right, it's recording. I'm going to start the Facebook Live now. It's loading. It's loading. Still loading. Unable to access Facebook. Try refreshing the screen. You got it. Be really great if this just worked. Yeah. I will try again. It's loading. Okay, it's working. All right. Steve, now you're logged in twice. Shows your name twice anyways. Okay. We're going live. This is working. All right, we are live on Facebook. We're live on Zoom, and we made it. So this has been an interesting webinar because, earlier this week we had John Hester was planned to be a part of this webinar and to teach us some great content, and he had some family emergencies come up and wasn't able to do it, and so I scrambled a little bit, but I remembered that there's a topic I had been wanting to address, especially this week, and so we just adjusted the topic, and it's with me. And then I wake up today to find out that my internet is down. That there's a Comcast internet shortage in my area, and so I had to call customer service and get that fixed. But we got it fixed. We started an hour late, but we're up and running, and we're going to talk about all things tithing settlement hacks, tips, tricks, apps to use, and it should be helpful, especially for a bishopric member or a clerk out there that's looking to jump on the tithing settlement monster, because this can be obviously a very time of year during the holidays, but nonetheless, we're instructed that this is one of the roles of a bishop, is to account for the tithing. So, all right, let me, there's my computer's talking to me, just going to mute it. So it'll let me. Got a couple people joining us on the Facebook Live. Okay, well, maybe it'll scream at me here in a minute. Oh, there it is. Come on. It's loading and won't let me mute myself here. Oh, there it is. Kill it. Sorry, guys. We'll get going here. Muted. You are muted. I am muted. All right. So bring up my agenda here. As all webinars, we want this to be interactive as I go. If I'm missing something or confusing you, or you just have a question, if you're joining us through Zoom, use the chat box or the question box. I'll be monitoring that. And then also, if you're viewing through Facebook Live, feel free to just ask questions in the comments, whether it's you're watching this live or later, and I'll be notified of those comments and make sure that your questions are answered as we go through this. Okay. Just a quick plug for if you go to, basically we are working on getting the 2018 Leadership Ward Calendar printed. If you're not familiar with that, you can go to leadinglds.org/calendar 2018, and you can see the calendar. We are looking to get enough sales up front to cover the cost of our first run to print that. And so it'd be awesome for you to go to leadinglds.org/calendar 2018 and purchase one. And they're a little bit cheaper during the fundraising campaign, the crowdfunding. And so go there and help us out, get that going. All right. And Steve, I cannot see or hear you, and that's okay. Because we'll just go through this. It'll mainly just be me, unlike the other one we did a few weeks ago. So if you have a question or further thoughts, go ahead and type them into the chat screen, and we'll go from there. Okay. Just double checking on my. All right, we got some people tuning in on the Zoom, on the Facebook Live. Okay. Here we go. So, also, if you are, we've done these webinars every week. Obviously, we didn't do it last week with the general conference, but we've had some fantastic episodes. Everything from talking with addiction to fellowshipping LGBT members in our ward, and all those are available in the Core Leadership Library. And so if you haven't gained access to that, all you have to do is be a core leader, which means you are a subscribing donor, whether you give as little as $1 a month, $12 a year, $40 a month, whatever it is. We just require at least a minimum subscribing donation, an automatic set it and forget it donation. And then you'll have access to the Core Leadership Library, which has all the past webinars. And these are gems, fantastic resources for leaders on various topics. Now, I'm also working, hopefully this week or next week, we'll actually have a whole separate podcast stream for core leaders. And so what we're going to do with that podcast stream is you'll get the regular episodes that you would get just from the normal free podcast stream, but you'd also get some additional content of if I do an interview, I'll ask some additional questions that you'll be able to get through the core leader stream, the podcast stream, and I'll also push the audio of these webinars to that stream. And so, if you missed the webinar on Saturday, it'll pop up in your feed that coming week, and you'll be able to listen to the audio. Obviously, these webinars are many times visual, and so you won't necessarily be able to see those. But, if there's anything specific like this webinar that's very visual, then you can go into the Core Leader Library and watch the recorded version of these. So should be good. And feel free to raise your hand if you have a question, or just type it in. And again, I'll be going through those. I wanted to try the other weeks. I was where's my coming. Here we go. I wanted to try launching a poll here because there's no question. So oh boy, it's taking me there. Okay, we won't worry about that. Okay, so as many of you know, the just in the last few years, the church has allowed bishops and bishoprics to start tithing settlement as soon as October 15th. So that's just this coming week or next week. And this is great because the first few years I was bishop, they didn't allow you to start tithing settlement until November 15th. And, which is fine. I'd always try and get it done before Thanksgiving. Well, the vast majority, it's never really done. But I tried to get it before Thanksgiving. It was just always this push. And so once they gave us that extra month, it was like awesome, such a lifesaver. And then you sort of deal with the explaining to the members of your ward that you don't have to have every dollar paid in order to meet for fast offering. There's always that person who wants to meet on December 31st. And once they get that last check in, right? So it's all in the planning and preparation. And there's a lot of apps and tools out there, resources that you can use as a bishopric to really expedite this process. And I want to share some resources online. And I can never get to my toolbar here. There it is. Okay. Let me share my screen here. And I can walk you through some of these. Okay, I think I want this one. Okay, you should be seeing the homepage of Leading LDS. If you don't, send me a message and let me know. But I'll pull up there's some fantastic resources online that are already printed. There they are. Okay. So, first one is this, how I organize tithing settlement. I'm going to republish this here in the coming days, but it is live and available on leadinglds.org. It's a podcast episode. And basically what we did is we asked the question to various bishops or members of the bishopric, how is it you go about, executing tithing settlement? Do you use any tricks, any apps, any ways you organize the schedule? And then so I had leaders do that, create a 5-minute recording, and then I put a bunch of these recordings into one episode. And so you can listen to this and listen to other bishops, including myself, that as far as how they've gone about tithing settlement. And it's been cool to do that. And if you want to contribute and share what you do during tithing settlement, down here at the bottom, there's actually a button you can kind of gives you instructions on how to do this, and you hit start record, and then as long as you have a mic connected to your computer, you can record that I'm going to obviously add to this episode. So in the future, we're going to have a good solid chunk of different perspectives and approaches to tithing settlement that bishops and bishoprics use across the world. So the other resources I'd refer you to is Mormon Lifehacker has put out. Mormon Lifehacker is a website, sort of the Leading LDS. It's sort of a blog. They write articles and things around being a Mormon and hacking life, tips and tricks that way. But they have various articles here. One that they did is 2-day tithing settlement, how it went, because they did, let's see, this one came out before. I should show this one first. So this one is tithing settlement in 2 days. And it's way back when. There's my mug. This was back in 2012. We recorded and with other leaders and kind of talked about how people go about doing this. Everything from taking photos of your members. That's such a valuable time. As you know, as a leader, you're going through callings or there's new members that come in. It's so helpful to have that photo in the LDS tools, right? And so tithing settlement was a great way to do that. And this is what we did when I was bishop, is we would, as they're sitting there waiting for me, the clerk would grab them, remember the bishopric, and say, hey, can we just snap a photo of you that can go to the directory? And 9 times out of 10, they didn't have a problem with it. There's always that one person that hates their picture and doesn't want you to take a picture, but for the most part, it works. And then there are, so this just goes through, some people don't even have an LDS.org account set up, so you can help them do that. But just walks you through some different ideas to do. This is, if you are, we're going to go over some apps, and some, technical tools that you can use. But if you're old school and do the whole, tape the schedule to the bishop's office, this is something I used the first couple of years. And I didn't think this up. I saw it somewhere else. But basically, you can download this. There's a link down here. You can download a template to do this. Obviously not very hard to make. But basically what you do is you have the date of when you're going to do tithing settlement, and then the time the block of time, and then the appointment slots. And so the nice thing is that they have this tear off. So on the edge, you just type the tithing settlement, the date and time, and that way if somebody signs this, they can just tear this off, right? Just like you see on telephone poles and things when somebody's offering tutoring or whatever. You can tear that off, and it just makes them more likely to remember because they remember the time they wrote down for. So you can come here to this link, and obviously I'll link to all this. But you can just go to MormonLifehacker.com and you can search for tithing, and all these ones will come up. So that's a pretty good tool there. Other than that, I think, and then this one is just a follow-up post to how it went when people tried doing tithing settlement in 2 days. And so you can go through that and learn from others' experiences as well. This, I think it's all relative or current information, so that doesn't necessarily need to be updated year to year. So check those out, and I think you'll find them helpful. All right. Now let's jump into an app here. I want to walk you through, and if you'll take the time, I just want to give you, if you are listening live, just give you a few minutes. Go to acuityscheduling.com, and it will ask you to create an account. And Acuity, and so just take it. I'll kind of walk you through what this is, but just hit if it's whether log in if you already have an account or create an account. But what Acuity is fantastic. I've actually been using Acuity to schedule my podcast interviews because there's nothing worse. We've all been there where you get in this back and forth in email of like, hey, let's meet for lunch. Okay, how about Wednesday at noon? No, that won't work for me. How about Thursday at 1? Well, that would work, but right, and you go back and forth about 10 times before you can actually land on an appointment time that works. So Acuity Scheduling is an app that allows you to connect to a calendar or create a calendar. And so, for example, when somebody wants to schedule, or I want to interview somebody for the Leading LDS podcast, I send them a link. And this link I've set up with all the times that I'm available to record a podcast. Okay, so I generally only record podcasts on Mondays and Tuesdays. So when that individual receives that link and opens it up, and I'll just show you here. I got my scheduling link. So this is what they'll see. They see my logo, and then they say, podcast interview with Kurt. Okay. So it shows them that these are the times on Monday, October 9th of this next week. Someone could sign up for a podcast interview in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, and et cetera, right? And you can see that it only shows Monday and Tuesdays because ideally that's the only time I want to record. And so for you, when you're setting up, this is a system that's going to automate just by sending somebody a link in your ward. You can blast that out through an email or put it on your ward bulletin or in the program on Sunday and say, go to this link and sign up for a time. And the nice thing is if somebody comes in here and takes this 9 a.m. time, it's not going to be available for anybody else. So it creates a lot less work for the clerk or the executive secretary to constantly be updating the calendar. Okay. So now that you've created an account, let's go back to how this works. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to log in. I've created an account, kind of a dummy account that I can walk you through this. Okay, so when you walk in or when you log in, it's going to show you these steps to actually setting it up. And so the first step is to create a calendar availability, and then we're going to do create your appointment types, customize your client schedule page, sync other calendars. Okay, so it's good to know that Acuity Scheduling, they have they have a free option and then a paid. I actually do the paid one. It's like $10 a month. It may be worth considering, looking at your budget and considering using, paying that $10 a month for the next few months as you get through tithing settlement, because there's just more. There's more. What's the word? I don't know. More. Congruity. It will connect with your calendar. There's more options just to make your life easier, but it's definitely not available. I'll show you today just how to use this on the free version. Okay. So those that are listening, I've got two bishops here on the Zoom. Maybe tell me what's your general approach? Do you try and do it all on a Saturday? Do you break it up? Maybe do some on Sunday, some during your weekly meeting. What's worked for you? And then I can show you how to set that up through Acuity Scheduling. So that, just for an example, I know for myself, if I was to do it again, if I was a bishop again, and just like I did before, I would maybe just jump on it all one Saturday. And I know a lot of leaders do that, right? Where they get there at 8 o'clock in the morning and they just go crazy, right? And 8 to 8, and maybe take a lunch break, but they just hammer through it. And because a lot of people are available on Saturdays. So Henry says Tuesdays and Sundays. Cool. Let's go with that example. Okay. So the first step is set calendar availability. And it's important to know that you can set up two appointment types. And I guess that's the next step. I'm jumping ahead of myself, but so let's just set up availability for this. So we're going to do set availability. Obviously, this is October 3rd. We can't start tithing settlement until after the 15th. So let's go to October 7th. And obviously, I would imagine you do it in the evenings. We'll just click a time there. And then over here, it's going to show you, see, I've already typed this in before. So you would type in tithing settlement with Bishop Frankham, obviously for yourself. And then, okay, sorry, okay, so October 17th. See, this is one I already set up. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to delete that. Oops. Hello. Okay. So set hours. So that's gone. Okay. So we're coming to the 17th, and then you just type in the time frames in which you want to be available for tithing settlement. And so maybe you start at we'll get it started a little bit sooner, 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Okay. Or maybe you want to take a break. You'll do 6:30 to 7:30. And then, as you know, you always get behind schedule, right? So maybe we'll create a buffer in there, and then we won't let anybody schedule anything from 7:30 to 8. And so you just put a comma, 8 o'clock p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Okay, and then you set hours. Now, what you want to do is, if you want this to go every week, you can set here, I have regular hours every week, and then that will allow you to, if you're going to do that every Tuesday. But I would just say, since it's tithing settlement and you're not going to do it all year round, obviously, if you're setting up appointments, just your normal bishop appointments, you may want to have a regular hours, right? And so that every Tuesday at 6:30 to 9, you meet with people. People can set appointments, right? But that's a different appointment type, and I'll show you that. So for now, I would just say, if you're going to do it every Tuesday, just select that, copy it, okay, and then come to the next one, paste, set hours, come to the next one. I don't know if Halloween you're going to do it, but you get the idea. And then I'm going to go to the next month. So I'm just going to go through. Did it skip November? There it is. So I'm just going to go through every Tuesday and set that, right? This is Thanksgiving week, but again, if it's a week, let's do that. So let's say I'm going to be out of town for Thanksgiving that week, so I'm going to just not have it available there. Okay, there it is. I'm going to go into December, and then maybe I'm just going to say if people aren't done by December 5th, we're going to have to work something else out. Okay, and then obviously enjoy the holidays from there. Maybe you'll set one after that. I don't know. Okay, and then you also maybe you're going to do it or Sundays, right? So we'll come back to again. So the 15th is the soonest you can start, and let's say, well, we have 9 o'clock church. Let's do 1 o'clock church. Okay, and so you'll say, people can come in as early as 8 a.m. To we'll say 11 a.m. and then and then obviously have church and meetings, and then you can we'll meet at 4:15 p.m. I got to go home for dinner at 5:30 p.m. Okay. And again, you can set different times for each week, but if that's the general that you're shooting for, you're just going to copy that, click this one, paste it in there, set hours, and do that. Okay. And hopefully, feel free to follow along as you see me do this. Hopefully you're doing this on your own computer, or you can watch this later or do it later. It's obviously, you can tell it's not rocket science by any means. So I'm just going through and I'm setting all those hours. Okay, I'm going to come to December and do that. Now, here's one thing to take into account. I know, as you know, if you've done tithing settlement before, sometimes you get you don't want to get one appointment here, 3 here, and spread it all out, right? So maybe the first week, this Sunday, right? It's going to be the 8th. You'll stand up in priesthood meeting or whatever, and sacrament meeting, say, hey, we were looking for time scheduled. And so you may just delete all these and just have the 15th and 17th available, sort of forcing people to choose only those 2 times. If they have all sorts of options, they may spread that out and may waste a lot of your time, right? But if I was in your shoes, I would probably at least do 2 or 3 weeks and let people know. And I can show you how we set this up. People will know that, okay, I'm not available these next 3 weeks, but it says here that there's going to be additional times available, right? So just so you can push people into clustering those appointments, because obviously it's very nice to get those out of the way altogether, and you're not just twiddling your thumbs at the church waiting for an appointment that's in another hour, right? All right, so we have set your calendar availability. The next thing we do is create appointment type. So click there, and I'm going to act like this doesn't exist. I thought I deleted it. There's a random picture of Elder Holland I used, but I'm just going to delete it so that you can. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like when you're new here. So new type of service, new type of group. So you're going to do you can create one now, or new type of service. Okay. And then you'll call it tithing. Obviously you can call it whatever you want, but tithing settlement with Bishop Frankham. Okay. And then obviously you want to set your duration. I think when I was bishop, I did 10-minute time slots. But you can do 15, you can do 12. Obviously 30 is a bit much, I think, but I would set it as 10, right? Because some go faster than others, and maybe you'll build in a buffer to get back on track, right? Obviously you can set the price at 0. There's no reason to charge for tithing settlement. Obviously, this is for coaching services or things you can actually people can schedule and then pay, but obviously that's not needed. You can upload a picture here if you want. Not necessary if you want to make it a little more visually appealing, whatever. And then you want to leave it on public. Okay. Obviously, nobody's going to trip on to your calendar link other than if you give it to them. So I would just keep it as public. It makes it simpler, and you have less likely chance of confusing people. Okay. Let me go to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. I don't see any questions, or so I'm moving forward. Okay, then we're going to create the appointment type. Takes a minute here. It's always nice to have internet that works. Great. And there it is. So you have an appointment type. So for example, you may want to create another appointment type of appointments with the bishop, right? And technology, whether you like it or not, is quickly making the executive secretary irrelevant, and but that's okay. I mean, obviously, there's other things for him to do other than just schedule appointments. But you may want to create an appointment type of just appointments with the bishop, right? And then make those like 30-minute slots or 45-minute slots, whatever you're comfortable with. And then that way people can set an appointment for the bishop as well. And the nice thing is as they set appointments, and then it'll even remove those times from the tithing settlement type, because it sees that you're busy on those times, right? Okay, so that is the create appointment type. Now customize your client scheduling page. So this is the page that people will see. Here's a random picture I use. This is my podcast interview that I'm going to release tomorrow. So we will remove that. Good old Jake doesn't need to be the poster boy of this system. All right. So on this, I generally choose the daily. That's sort of the view that I showed you on the other one. I guess it's previewing it over here. You see the daily set up like that. The monthly gives them a monthly calendar. You can see like that with just highlights of when times are available. But I think it saves them a step just doing the daily, okay? Business name, put your ward name in there. I was the bishop of the Lee ward. And then here is where you'll put information. So pick a time to meet with the bishop for tithing settlement, okay? And you may want to, this is where you may want to put, if these times are not good for your schedule, there will be additional times released in the future, okay? And that way they know, okay, I'll just wait a little bit until they release more times, okay? Week starts on Sunday if you wish, time format, leave it that way. Obviously pick your time zone, because that's obviously nobody outside your time zone is going to schedule a tithing settlement with you, but this is nice for when I schedule, podcast interviews with somebody in Spain or Australia. They can adjust to their time zone, right? All right, and you can do colors and accent that change the font, but obviously that's not really needed. And then you save. Down here. Oh yes, this I need to go over. So down here, scheduling page, disable recurring appointments. I've disabled that. Obviously, you don't need a tithing settlement appointment that's recurring. Disable client login and registration. So after client books their appointment, they can optionally register for an account. Like, you don't need to bother them with doing an account. Require a phone number. This actually might be a good idea because, as you know, as appointments are coming up, it's good to have the executive secretary that's calling people and reminding them maybe 15, 20 minutes, an hour before, right? So that they haven't forgotten. And so this, obviously you have their phone number already in the LDS tools and on the rolls, but this just puts it all in one place. So it's easy to reference as you're going through your schedule. Okay. And then you can hide the duration, but sometimes it's probably nice, especially in a tithing settlement, to let them know that we've got 10 minutes and this isn't a time to bring up anything else. You would need to set additional appointment for that, right? Okay, so now we have our appearance, the page set up, and we're going to do save changes. Okay. All right, so now we have that all set. This, as you can see, that shows you this next step of sync with calendars. From what I understand, the free option does not allow you to link it with any calendar, which again, it might be worth that $10 a month for the next few months. It's just month to month, and you can cancel at any time. It might be worth spending some admin budget on that, just because it'll make your life that much easier. But again, it's not required. What would happen is you would just log into your acuityscheduling.com account and see your appointments there. Okay. So that's up to you to determine. All right. And so let's see. Now I want to show you what the page would actually look like. So if you come to appointment types, we want appointments maybe. Let me find the link because it'll give you client scheduling page. Here it is, scheduling page link. So go to client scheduling page and then schedule page link, and it gives you this link, right? So if I copy this link and then I'm gonna open it in a new area here. And see, so here it is. It shows the Sundays and Tuesdays time, all available. And so ideally when somebody logs in, they're gonna see this, okay? Coming back to customize appearance, just to give you an idea how you can make it more visually pleasing. I'm gonna choose a logo here. Let's see. I'll choose one of my old steak center here. Here we go. Okay, so it's got that. Going to save the changes. And now when we go back to the saving, okay, there's the picture, right? Now if I refresh this, it'll show a picture of the church. Oh, isn't that nice, right? You can have a picture of the bishopric, whatever it is. Make it fun, make it visually pleasing. It helps them know, if they did see a picture of the bishop, or it just lets them know you're in the right place. This is what you want to do. Okay, so they see that they want to schedule an appointment, and they select which one. Now, the thing is that this link, let me see here. Let me go back here. Page link. This link is going to it's going to show all your appointments. So for example, if I come back here to appointment types, obviously this is where you would see your appointments and people's schedule. Oops, sorry, calendar, go to availability, okay, in business settings under availability. And then, come to appointment types. It's a bit clunky at times, but it is a dynamic app, so it's not, sometimes it can be a little confusing. So let's say we created a new appointment type, and we're going to do just a general appointment with Bishop Frankum. And these are just general appointments, 30 minutes, right? Public, create appointment type. Now it shows two of them there. So I think when I refresh this, well, it may not, since I didn't set appointment types. Let's see though. Yeah. So it's going to show two types of appointments. And so so if they set an appointment, they say, okay, I want 11 a.m. that Sunday. Continue. And then this is where they put in their name, phone number, email, okay, and then complete appointment. All right, and then they can add it to their calendar, but that's basically their confirmation. So that's the process, right? Give me a minute here to come back here, because there is a way, appointment types. Okay, yeah. Okay, so in appointment types, the link you want to do, if you don't want I would say you don't want both appointments showing up, right? So let me refresh this. Let me go back. So I would say you don't want to confuse people with, if they're coming to sign up for a tithing settlement, you don't want to confuse them with two options here. And so you can come into here to under business settings, appointment types, and click on direct scheduling link for the tithing settlement. Copy that, and then when we go to that one, it's only going to show tithing settlement. Boom, right there. Okay. And so here's the other thing is obviously that this link here is kind of long and ugly, and it's not like someone's going to remember all that, right? So I would suggest once you get your appointment link for tithing settlement set, you come to a website called bit.ly.com, and this allows you to shorten links. And so you can paste a link here, and it will give you a shorter link to do that. What I would suggest, I actually have an account. If you create an account, it'll allow you to customize it a little bit more. So let me log in here. Maybe. Just thinking about it. There it goes. Oh, come on. My LastPass needs to pop up here. Here, let me get my password here. Stand by. And as I'm doing this, any questions I can answer? All right. Now I'm logged in. There it goes. Any questions I can answer, let me know. Got some good people logging in via Facebook and watching us. You're so kind. All right. So this one, I've got various links over here. And this is a great tool. You know, apart from tithing settlement, like anytime you need to give a link to people, this is a great way to do it because you can make it short and really customize it. So I'm going to click on create bit link, and then over here, I'm going to paste that link. Okay. And then it gives you the option to customize it. So you may put here, you want it too long, but you can do like TS for tithing settlement with Bishop, right? And then you just hit enter and it's good to go. Now I'm not going to, if somebody else wants to use that, but you obviously have to customize it a little bit because we can't all have the bit.ly/tithing settlement, right? Unless you're the first one to get it, you better go grab it. But I like that because then this link is much easier to put in on a bulletin or to email out or for people to remember, right? Because some people may be actually typing this into their computer, right? So that's a great way to just get a shortened link. Or you can just you don't have to create an account with BitLink, but it'll just be a little bit more of a link like this one up here, 2XPTQWN, which is fine. It's not as long as the other one. So I would recommend you do that. Okay. All right. Now the other question that may arise at this point is, well, I've got this sweet sister who's 95 in my my ward, and she doesn't even have a smartphone, let alone know how to go to this online app and do it, right? Well, in that case, yeah, she can still go to the executive secretary and say, hey, I'd like to schedule an appointment with the bishop for tithing settlement, right? And all he does is go to this Acuity Scheduling link and open it up, select a time, put her information in, and it gets on the calendar that way, right? So, in the last couple of years that I was bishop, I never did and it's always seemed weird to me doing the, paste it on your door. Where's that picture here? Paste a schedule on your door and have people sign up. I think it's just a little bit archaic, and there's more room for error, right, to do that. And so having this set up, one, like if a bishop emailed me and said, here's a link, pick a date, like, man, I'd much rather do that from my computer, during the week or something than trying to remember, oh, we got to get over to the bishop's office and do that on Sunday. And, oh, we forgot again. And oh, now it's December. Now it's Christmas and we still haven't done the tithing settlement, right? So this just really streamlines the process and makes it easier for you to fill up that schedule and get this done sooner than later. Okay. And what else was I going to say on that point? Oh yeah. So that's what I would do is, obviously when you go to lds.org, you can blast out an email, right? Bishops, members of the bishopric can blast out an email to the entire ward. So just take that link, blast out a link to an email to the entire ward and say, hey, we're ready to schedule tithing settlement. It starts this Sunday or next Sunday, whatever. And then here's the link, pick a time that works for you. And then you're done. Like, the executive secretary is weeping with joy because it's become so easy, right? And so that's the idea here. Anyways, what am I missing as far as this Acuity scheduling goes? Is there anything I'm missing that would help you better understand how to use this tool? And again, if I was bishop, like, they have plans, and maybe I wonder if they have before you buy anything, I think I have let me give you a referral link so that you can also help Leading LDS help us out. They'll throw us a few pennies our way to do this. So before you set up an account, make sure you get a link from me so that we can benefit Leading LDS through this. But as you can see, you can log in, come to appointment calendar, and here's that Joseph Smith appointment I scheduled, right? It'll open up. You can see all the details, phone number, email, that sort of thing. So, I mean, your executive secretary could have this open the night of tithing settlement, and he's just cranking through each appointment and doing that, okay? Now, the other one, there is an online app called You Can Book Me. I know this is referenced in some of the, let me pull this up here, in some of the Mormon Life Hacker posts. But this one is basically a competitor, right? It's going to work the same way. I've tried this before. It didn't jive with me as much. You may find that it's just as helpful. And there's probably even a few more apps out there that you could use. But Acuity Calendar, man, this thing has literally saved me just hours and hours of time, especially running Leading LDS and scheduling appointments. And they just pop up in my calendar, and it's great that way. So with that, I will just finish off by kind of going through some of, as far as some ideas, and these are given in this episode, a lot of these ideas of how to organize tithing settlement and how other people do it. But there's some great tips here as far as, really helping people set up their LDS account. Some people probably still haven't done that yet. Maybe even showing them how to. There's probably, seniors in your ward that have a smartphone but haven't figured out how to set up LDS tools, right? And they're coming to you like, hey, can I get a printed directory? Well, this is a great time to do it. This will show you through the app. You can take pictures right there and upload those. Especially leaders have access to do that. Obviously, meeting with a bishop, follow-up nights. And so really go check those out. Really great tools on how to do that. And then, on this one thing to take into account is, and I mentioned this in my portion of this episode, but to really have almost like a mini lesson planned, right? Because it's easy to just kind of meet, all right, how you doing? Good. You sort of shoot the breeze for a little bit as the bishop and the member, and how you doing? How's work, right? But I would always have maybe a few thoughts, quotes, explaining why we're doing this, referring to Doctrine and Covenants 20, or what's the disposition on tithes 20, 120. Section 120 talks about the disposition of tithes. And one question that was always fun to ask is I would always sit down and I'd say, all right, who are the three bodies within the church that have to agree or have to approve the use of tithing funds? And rarely do people get it. It's the the first presidency, quorum of the 12 apostles, and the presiding bishopric, right? And a lot of people don't realize that. And even some members who've been lifelong members don't understand the difference between fast offering funds and tithing funds. I also took an opportunity to talk about, here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. I also took an opportunity to talk about, fast offering funds and just give them an idea of like how I use those as a bishop and say, let me tell you the process I go through and how I determine who receives what help and how those funds are used and whether a food order is necessary and those types of things. And I found that by really articulating that to the members and thanking them for the fast offerings they gave or encouraging them to pay more fast offerings or whatever it is, that I saw those fast offerings go up and it was a benefit. Now, I came from a ward that if you're in a ward somewhere that doesn't spend the fast offerings coming in, I thank you, because my ward spent all of that. We would never spend less than the fast offerings we came in. We were in an inner city ward, just a lot of welfare requests, and that was definitely the main use of my time as a bishop was in welfare. And so just taking the time that though you only have 10 minutes, make it an experience. Help the children understand why you're there. And of course, always have treats. I mean, come on, be the bishop with treats. I did everything from like Costco cookies to, and I'd always have a healthy option, right? That's another good option, is have a basket of fruit or apples or something, right? So we're going to end it with that. Hopefully this has been helpful. I'm going to take a peek at the Facebook page, make sure nobody's yelling at me over there, answer any questions. I appreciate your patience as we've dealt with some internet issues this morning, but we got it recorded, and those that maybe aren't able to make it, they can watch the recording. This recording will be available on lds.org. I probably will make this perpetually available just because I think it'll be helpful in the next few weeks for bishops to be able to watch this and have that available. But I ask you, if you have, if you've seen value here, if this has been beneficial for you, please consider becoming a core leader with Leading LDS. That's how we have, I've got lights in here, the software, all this webinar stuff. It costs me monthly to be able to do this. And so we need your help in order to effectively produce content that's going to be helpful for you. And hopefully time's been saved for you in this next couple of months as you execute tithing settlement. So if you're already a core leader, hey, go donate and throw a few more bucks at us for the one-time donation, or increase your donation. Whatever it is, we really need your help, and hopefully you've seen the value that we produce, and that's all we're asking is an exchange for value of what we do. And if you can't afford it, there's other ways that you can help. But hopefully this has been helpful, and we're going to call it good. I appreciate those that joined me on the through Zoom as well. So, no other questions? We're going to end it there. So, subscribe, donate, and as always, be a leader and not a calling.